Hello, my name is Quinn Sanders, and today I will be discussing police brutality and how it affects America. Dr. Benjamin Spock, who was an influential American pediatrician, once said, "Most middle class whites have no idea what it feels like to be subjected to police who are routinely suspicious, rude, belligerent, and brutal." This statement speaks volumes on every police department because it's called police brutality and it's not specified in one certain area. Broader definitions of police brutality encompass harassment, intimidation, and verbal abuse, and the most common forms are like violence and um, sometimes even murder. A message that has recently been said by supporters against cops and is commonly used amongst the police task force is, "You fit a certain description." I will start off by showing the national recognition that this topic has gotten over the past year or two. Change will start to happen soon because police brutality is a problem. Representative Chabot said he's trying to find a solution, and we need to put aside our differences and listen to each other and focus on what unites us rather than divides us. Famous icons are also in the Black Lives movement, and they're trying to speak up and get people to change what's going on. Some leagues postponed games, while some famous celebrities like Anthony Davis and Kanye West spoke up on the problem. Things are already starting to cool down, but it's not over. There hasn't been as much noise about cases of police brutality in the past few months, but it still happens. With COVID-19 going on, there are less people going around, so there's less people being subjected to police interactions. The government is already also trying to find a solution, and lots of people are starting to develop confidence in it. People are trying to trust the government, and at least some steps are being made. This next point will be about how police brutality was formed and established. Police brutality back in 1930 was pretty common. People were still upset about the Civil War outcomes, and it was still blacks versus whites. As a result, it happened pretty often, and it was not uncommon at all. New York City has a long history of police brutality. The unique experiences African Americans had to endure and their resistance to racial terror of the state showed how bad it really was for them. How it evolved. Once people started to accept the changing cultures, it took a back seat to important topics. People were more focused on the drug war, the Watergate scandal, everything that was going on from pretty much the 70s to around the 90s, probably even the 2000s. Nowadays, people have no connection to that same culture. I don't know what the reasoning is now, but we are supposed to be taught that all are equal. But after the 2020s, police brutality came back almost as strong as it was in the 30s. This last paragraph will show you how many cases of police brutality actually happen and how often it is. People have been violated and stripped of their rights. My cousin told me a story one time about her friend who's a fellow law school student of hers. And she told me that he was in a U-Haul driving. He was moving his stuff from his old apartment to his new house. And a police officer pulled him over, and they didn't give him a reason for pulling him over. No no going over the speed limit, no running a stop sign, he used his turn signal, all that stuff. But the police officer said he fit a certain description and detained him for probably another, I think it was an hour and a half, and they finally let him go. Instances like that make me question a police officer's motive and made me open my eyes to other possibilities and how often it really happens. They could easily get two people confused, and sometimes they act before they really think. And that is not right, and it is upright unconstitutional. The police have taken it way too far in many instances, including the murder of George Floyd. He was murdered by a police officer in Minneapolis. It was a huge turning point in police brutality. Everyone got behind him after that. There was an officer who had his knee on his throat, his neck area, and he wouldn't get off even after George Floyd said, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe." that shows how, like, you know that he needed help and you didn't do anything. That's your job. You're supposed to help, not hurt. Stephon Clark is another victim of police brutality. He was shot and killed by multiple police officers because they thought he had a gun. He was a 22-year-old kid who was in his grandmother's backyard, and the gun that he supposedly had was actually a phone. The police officers ended up shooting at this male 20 times, and he died. All in all, police brutality has been around for many years, but has escalated in the past few. Things have rapidly gotten worse, and no one knows the real reason. All that is known is that all people are equal and they should be treated as such. Mary Beth said, when you have police officers, Mary Berry said, when you have police officers who abuse citizens, you erode public confidence in law enforcement. That makes the jobs of good police officers hard. No one should be stripped of their rights and fear for their life. Thank you for listening, and this was my topic.